toss just a moment ago as both teams brought everybody out to the middle of the field, and then the teams started jawing at one another. This rivalry is one that goes back a long time. It has been extremely heated. They have a great deal of respect for one another. They say it is not a hate rivalry. Well, just a moment ago, we almost saw the other side of that coin. Number 2, the Miami Hurricanes, Dennis Erickson, their new head coach, against number 9, Florida State. And here comes Chief Osceola. We are about to get this one underway. Let's watch. This is what happened just a couple of moments ago as you look at the Miami quarterback loosening up. Miami didn't want to move back to allow Chief Osceola to come out and put down the flaming spear. That's where the controversy started. 4 years in a row, it has been the Miami Hurricanes winning over the Florida State Seminoles. And in fact, when you look back at this series history, the first time that they met, Kevin, 1951. In the 80s, it has been the Miami Hurricanes who have done the damage. They have won 7 and they have lost only 2.
Yeah, but the two burners, Ron, I think are probably those 2 losses the last 2 years in 88 and 87, and they probably kept Florida State from playing for the national championship. The only losses on the schedule for Florida State, and they haven't forgotten a great opportunity tonight to maybe knock Miami out of contention for a national title.
In fact, if you look back at the entire 1980s, 3 times Bobby Bowden's ball club has been 10-1. All 3 of those ones are losses to this ball club right here. Dennis Erickson, well, he is known as a rebuilder. He did a great job of it at Wyoming, also at Washington State. But Kev, taking over a Miami ball club that really wasn't looking for rebuilding.
Well, he brought his offense, but he didn't have to touch the defense. This is the #1 defense in the nation coming into this game. And Dennis Erickson and his staff did something I have never seen done before. They not only kept the defense and the defensive philosophy, they kept the terminology. And instead of teaching the players new terminology, the coaches learned Jimmy Johnson's terminology. Has it paid off? Well, you will be looking at the best front 7 in the nation tonight for Miami. And the key to the game, can Florida State contain those guys, keep them from getting in their backfield?
Bill Mason to kick it off. We will see Richie Andrews tonight, but it will be Mason kicking off. Andrews to handle the placement. To the far sideline, will be taken and hit inside. Berry at the 22-yard line, and oh, what a hit. And now, for tonight's road handler starting lineup. This is the way they will open the ball game. At quarterback, Gino Torretta, Pinole Valley, California. His fullback, the lone setback, is Conley. Now, they list him as a tailback, but he actually is a receiver. It's Carroll. The tight end is Chudzinski. The other 2 wideouts, Dawkins and Randall Hill. Bobby Garcia is the center. And we'll check the rest of the lineup after this. First play from scrimmage. Torretta under pressure. Gets by one tackler, now gets it away, and it's intercepted by Butler at the 37-yard line. Leroy Butler, interception number 7. And we have a fight at the 20-yard line. No flags went down, just extracurricular activity after the pass was intercepted.
Gino Torretta's 2 starts this year against Cincinnati and San Jose State, but he has not seen pressure like that. Thompson pushing him. He threw it up for grabs. Butler playing his own center field, picked it off for Florida State. Freshman quarterback Torretta, big key in this game. He did not start well.
So Florida State with a first down at their own 37-yard, at the Miami 37-yard line. Fireworks to open it up. Willis with a running play. That is Dexter Carter. Gets outside on the left, has 5, has 10. He will score. 37 yards. Dexter Carter is a senior. They started him tonight. He has been injured with a down shoulder. Amp Lee was scheduled to start, but Carter, because he's a senior, and Bobby Bowden is saying, thank goodness I let it happen. Andrews makes it Seminoles 7 and Miami nothing.
Nothing tricky about this. Bobby Bowden known for his trickery. I formation. Florida State will run primarily out of this. They'll run to your right. It's weak. Bennett with the block, the fullback, and now it's speed. He outruns that very quick front seven for Miami. Dexter Carter in for a touchdown. Terry Anthony, wide receiver, number 8. Bennett, 22, bottom of your screen. Terry Anthony with the block, and Dexter Carter with the run, and this will really shake up the Miami defense. There's been a question about this Miami team. Have they been tested? Toughest team to date, Michigan State on their schedule.
That, by the way, the run by Carter is the longest run from scrimmage by Florida State in the 1989 season. A good look at Hill as he drops back. Along with Johnson, they will be the 2 deep men for the Miami Hurricanes. Again, it will be Bill Mason to handle the kickoff chores. Seven to nothing. Seminoles on top, and they kick it away from the deep men, and it goes out of bounds at the 20-yard line at a 5-yard penalty. Chris Fowler is with us in the telecast tonight, working the sidelines. Let's go down and have a conversation with him pretty quick, huh?
Okay, Ron, interesting to watch Gino Torretta on this drive. He's appeared in 4 games now. In 3 of those, he threw an interception on the very first possession. He's been able to come back after that, including his relief job against Michigan State. And you think this series is critical now, falling behind 7-0, fellas.
A good look at Torretta. We have not played 1 minute of football here at Florida State. And 7-0, his last start, and these are the numbers against San Jose State. A new Miami single game record. And of course, you know some of the names. Testaverde, Kelly, some pretty high cotton there, and he moved in front of all of them as far as a single game performance.
That was Bernie Kosar's record. He broke in that last game. But again, it was San Jose State, and the question remains, how good is Miami? They will find out tonight.
Big day in college football, and of course at halftime and also at the end of tonight's ball game, Bob Carpenter will bring you up to date on today's action. Coming down at the 27-yard line on the kickoff across the 30, and again belted down. That's Kevin Gibbs on the return for the Hurricanes. So let's take another look at Miami. Right in the middle, we had the interception. Garcia is the center. Now he is flanked by 2 very good ones. Handy along with Rod Holder. And the offensive tackles, Leon Searcy on the left side, of the right tackle, the anchor of this line is Mike Sullivan.
They're going to call a personal foul on Miami on the kick return. They're going to go back another 15 yards. Things have not gone well for the Hurricanes early in this game. We have not yet played a minute. They've had an interception, been scored on, and a 15-yard penalty.
So the penalty will push it back just inside the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 Miami. Running play. Conley up the middle. 5 goes for 9. Very close to the first down. Let's check the defense for the Florida State Seminoles. Odell Higgins is the nose guard. The 2 defensive tackles, Eric Hayes and Henry Ostazuski. The linebackers on the outside, Thompson and Kevin Grant. The inside backers, Keith Carter and Kirk Carruthers. In the secondary, Errol McCorvey and Leroy Butler, who made the pickoff just a moment ago. Dodge and Reagans are the safeties. Motion, pressure on Torretta, runs out of the pocket, he just throws it away. Nobody is there. Pressuring on the passer was Eric Hayes. And this story has really become huge. Last week we talked about him coming in at 300 plus. He's lost 35, and Kevin, he is a different man.
He's a sprinter, and this is a big matchup. Sullivan playing the tackle over Hayes. Hayes gets rid of him, forces Toretta to throw the ball away. 3 plays, 2 pressures on the quarterback. First one resulted in an interception. That one just a loss down.
For the Hurricanes, it is 3rd down. They need their own 45-yard line. Draw play. Conley at the 35 as a marker comes down. He is about 3 yards shy of the first down as Butler from his right cornerback spot makes the tackle. But let's check the penalty at the 34.
Holding, Florida State.
So Bobby Bowden's ball club looks at a penalty that is going to be stepped off from the point where the ball was moved forward to. And it's going to take it out across midfield into Florida State territory and a first down for the Hurricanes.
Bobby wants to know what's going on. That was a dead ball penalty after the play, so they get the play and the penalty tacked on. Florida State, very similar to Miami, a very aggressive upfield defense. Screens and draws will work against them. Work just now on that last play.
Toretta hands it off right up the middle. Alex Johnson, the ball carrier, inside the 45-yard line. As Henry Ostazuski from his right defensive tackle spot comes over to make the play.
All right, look for 23 red with the face mask. Right hand on the face mask. And that was the penalty after the play.
From the 45, 2nd down, Hurricanes. 7-0, Florida State leads. Toretta swings it out of the backfield, has it complete inside the 40-yard line and down to the 34 as Carruthers and Ostazuski coming over to make the hit of the play on Shannon Crowell. Shannon, a junior out of Atlanta, Georgia. That's his 10th reception of the year, and he has scored one by passing.
We talked about that Miami defense, how it is the same defense that Jimmy Johnson ran. The offense is Dennis Erickson's. It's meant to spread you across the field, make you declare defensively, an easy way for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback, to read.
Miami very even on first down selection as you see the running play with Conley, and he cracks it inside the 30s down to the 28. Butler from his right corner spot for the Florida State Seminoles. But if you joined us late, we had a lot happening in a hurry. Miami didn't want to move back so that Chief Osceola could come out and put down the flaming spear. The officials got them separated. An interception off Toretta on the opening play, and the first play from scrimmage, Florida State takes it 37 for the touchdown. Conley, right side, cracks his way to the 24, and he's close to the first down. And Kevin, you might explain to the audience, you look and see Conley, say, wait a minute, he's a fullback. He's only 5'9", 170. They list him as a fullback, but he's just what they're looking for in their offensive scheme. They don't want a big bruiser necessarily.
Well, they call him a fullback. He's the only player in the backfield, but actually what he is a running back. They call Wesley Carroll a tailback. Wesley Carroll, number 81, you'll be hearing about him later in the game, is actually a wide receiver. We'll explain further.
Crowell goes right side, hurdles down to the 20-yard line. Carruthers will hit him as he goes midair, and it's going to be enough for the Miami first down. Well, Oakland, good heavens, Henderson again. The lead home run, 1-0. A's on top. They win tonight, and the '89 series is history.
They're certainly going to set a record for Henderson home runs.
Our score, 7-0. Florida State, we have just about played 4 minutes. Swing pass, Conley hit at the 20-yard line. That is great coverage by John White, who came up from his strong safety position and really knifed him down in the hurry.
One of the keys, of course, for Florida State's defense, the middle guard, number 53, Odell Haggins. Holder's got him, but he sees what's going on, and here he comes. Flattens out down the line, and he's going to get in on this tackle. That's great pursuit by a middle guard.
Second down, Hurricanes. They need the 10. Corner blitz is on. Pass is thrown complete to Hill. Stops out of bounds at the 11. And you can see the orange marker on the near sideline. He will be a yard shy. It's third down.
All right, they're taught to read hot. Here comes Toretta. 1, 2, 3. You're never going to get to him with the blitz. Toretta immediately reads Randall Hill. They're playing him soft, and he picks up a first down. Excuse me, picks up some yardage. Third and short.
Too tight in alignment as Bethel comes in, joining Chudzinski. Quick count. Running play. Near side will have the first down. It's Crowell. First and goal, Miami Hurricanes.
For almost 5 minutes into this game, we have not seen the Florida State offense yet.
Just one play. The running play with Dexter Carter taking it the distance 37 yards as they ran it to the open side of the field, and he scored. They fake the draw. Toretta gets a great block on the outside, in the end zone, wide open, touchdown Hill. Huerta, perfect on the year, 31 of 31. Tries to tie it, and he does.
Coverage was there. I want to give it to Gino Toretta for the scramble, and Bobby Garcia, I believe the center, number 50, will make the block. Here comes Toretta. He's going to draw the defense up. Now, right at this point, they're covered. And here's number 50, Garcia, with the block that springs Toretta, and Randall Hill will find the open spot. Defensive backs have to commit to come up and get the quarterback, Toretta. It's number 3.
Seminoles 7 and the Canes 7. Let's catch our breath. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Miami versus Florida State, is brought to you by Oldsmobile and their all-new 4-door Cutlass Supreme. And by Temp Star Furnaces. You can rely on the star. Well, the Chief riding high on this one. 7-7. We are tied. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley. The announced crowd, they haven't done it yet, but we are certainly at another record here this evening, and they're getting their money's worth. This is coming to Dawson at the 14. Gets outside on the left, takes the hit, and goes down at the 24-yard line. Robert Bailey of the special team, is Miami possessing tremendous overall team speed.
Thing about this touchdown that impresses me, Gino Toretta, freshman, throws an interception, and look at the poise. Able to wait, waits for the block from Garcia, draws the defense up, has all that poise, is able to wait till Randall Hill gets free, and that's after having probably as bad a start as anyone could have in a big game.
So Hill on the touchdown reception, almost using 5 minutes on the play, on the drive. And Miami comes right back.
Leonard Conley deserves a big part of that touchdown. Played magnificently, ran the ball super on that drive.
Face mask penalty against the Seminoles on the kickoff. So the ball has been pushed back inside the 20. They will scrimmage for the 18. Willis sets up a screen. Goes back to Dexter Carter. Blocker in front. At the 30-yard line, it is going to be tackled from behind at the 33 by Cortez Kennedy, the right defensive tackle. That's good for 13 yards for Carter.
Miami is an up the field, a very different type of defense. They just lay their ears back and they come. They create a natural space for screen and draws. You could see Bernard Clark, 57, coming back. opening space here. Dexter Carter picks the ball up, has a lot of running room before the Miami defense can react and get him from behind, actually. Cortez Kennedy coming from behind a defensive tackle, but they are very susceptible to screen and draw.
Good fake by Peter Tom Willis. Near sideline, it is complete. That's Ronald Lewis at the 49-yard line. Roland Smith trying to cover, but he has it good for 16. Some other scores. Third period, USC shutting out in their game. Houston up now by a touchdown over Arkansas. Tulsa with a shutout over Louisiana Tech there early. Central State of Ohio 101, Lane nothing. Our score 7-7. Just under 10 to play, opening period. Draw play. Carter spins off one tackler. They'll take it to the 48 as Greg Martin, the right defensive end, stays home to make the tackle.
They say the first two steps of the Miami defensive line the quickest in the nation. Let's take a look. Guys in the white hats, sprinters. Here they come, and this is why a draw and a screen will work. The offensive line trying to push. You see him pushing Maryland in the back. Just create a hole, let Dexter Carter go up. You'll see a lot of draws and a lot of screens because these guys, they don't read and react. They search and destroy.
Carter, right side, breaks it open for the first down. He's inside the 40-yard line. And Miami has got to be looking now. Miami saying they have recovered a fumble, but the officials have given no such indication.
Offside, Miami.
Here's a look at that defensive line just getting pushed aside. Again, a little bit of a delay. Crum overruns it, 49, and Carter, the little quick back, able to get up, and there's the fumble.
Ground can't cause it. Penalty declined, and it is 1st and 10, Florida State. Miami has to be scratching their head just a little bit. It is very early, but nobody has run against the Canes this season the way Florida State has come out and moved the ball on the ground. Willis over the middle, tipped, almost intercepted. 57, Bernard Clark, the senior out of Tampa, got a hand on it. Hurley Brown was the next closest man to it.
They say Miami is a different team with Bernard Clark in there. They call him Tiger Clark. He was named Tiger when he was 2 years old by his sister because every time she tried to get him out of the crib, he fought her like a tiger. He's lived up to it.
Gets the pass out. Dawsey at the 30, breaks half a tackle inside the 20, and he's finally stopped at the 18. 21 yards in the pass play.
That ball was thrown before Dawsey ever turned around. Roland Smith, this is not bad coverage by number 16. Peter Tom right on the mark. He throws it. Dawsey is now cutting. Hits him in the chest. Smith trying to react. Anytime a receiver can get turned around with his shoulders square and you're still moving like number 16 was, you're going to have a problem. That's just terrific offense by Florida State.
Peter Tom Willis, 3 of 4 for 50 yards. Dexter Carter turns the corner, has 5, 7, 8 yards. Hurley Brown, the strong safety, comes up to make the tackle. They will spot him dead at the 12-yard line.
The way you neutralize great athletic ability, and make no mistake about it, Miami is as good, probably the best defensive line in front seven in the nation. The way you neutralize it, you mix it up, and Florida State, just pure genius. Their offensive coordinator at mixing it up. Here's how quick they are. Willis McGee's 4.7. The two tackles were well over 300 pounds at one time. They run 4.8.
Willis, quick out pass, incomplete. looking for Lewis in the far flat at the 6-yard line. It will be 3rd down for the Seminoles. To pick up the first, they need the Miami 8-yard line. Peter Tom Willis, as we mentioned last week, if he maintains his current pace, he could become the most prolific of all Florida State quarterbacks.
Base defense, Miami will give you the strong flat. That would be to the right.
Contact at the line of scrimmage as Dexter Carter right up the middle, close to the first down at the 8-yard line. A marker is down, and now let's see if the Canes will be flagged for offsides or if they were drawn off.
You'd have to call it on the cadence. That's what made him jump, was Peter Tom's cadence.
There's offside on Miami.
Peter Tom changed the cadence. See if he can see his head. See the twitch on Peter Tom? Maryland right over the center. One out of the corner of his eye saw Peter Tom twitch. Bang, he was in the backfield. Cost him 5 yards. That's veteran quarterback. Smart, 5th-year quarterback, Peter Tom.
Yeah, but I think what they're doing, they're checking to see if the run picked up the first down or if the 5-yard penalty will be the first down. So they're going to step off the 5. And from where they have marked it, get to the first and 10 Florida State, or let's say first and goal. Well, the Seminoles, what happens when they go inside the 20? 27 of 29 possessions they have scored. 20 of those touchdowns. Bennett goes to the right side, inside the 5, and he's down to the 4. Very quickly, Maurice Crum. It appeared as though there was a big hole there as a marker comes down in the secondary, and Crum came out of nowhere and jolted him to the turf. Well, Reggie Johnson, the tight end, comes by. You can see his signal. He says it is against the Kings.
We have offside Miami, flipping Florida State, offsetting, replay the down.
So let's bring it back to the 7-yard line. Out in the Bay Area tonight, Oakland 1-0 as they play top of the second inning. A's lead the series 3 games tonight. Our score, Florida State 7, Miami 7. Seminoles with a first and goal. Willis on the reverse out. Has it incomplete, and my goodness, Reggie Johnson had it in his hands, and he fought it back down to the turf. Oh, my goodness.
Well, this is a rollout, and Peter Tom Willis immediately will beat the pressure there. Smith trying to get him. Reggie Johnson just simply should have had the ball. It's wide open. Reggie goes up. In pulling it down, he pulls it all the way down and loses it. There's from behind it. Crum almost gets a hand on it. Reggie right where it needs to be.
Willis lops it for the far sideline, incomplete. Dave Roberts, the intended receiver. Russell Maryland was putting pressure on Willis, the junior from Chicago. And the marker is personal foul, roughing the passer. Florida State not only will pick up the yardage, they will get a new set of downs.
Number 58, Willis McGee's the left end. Is the man who makes the penalty or has the penalty.
Roughing the passer, Miami, half the distance, automatic first down.
Very aggressive team. Here comes McGee's. 1, 2. Maybe instead of hitting him, it might be the helmet in the back that they're calling. Spearing shot. Either way, definitely a penalty.
From the 3.5. Bennett, right side, he is at the 1. The blocking up front, Michael Tanks, Hayward Haynes, and Tony Yeomans. And the Seminoles look at a 2nd down and goal, and they have spotted the ball just outside the 1.
On goal to go, Florida State, well, they've been pretty productive. 9 of 11 possessions, 8 of them touchdowns. They're on the 1-yard line.
Seminoles trying to break the tie. Straight to the right side. Bennett will not get into the end zone. They're going to mark him about a foot away as Maurice Crum steps up into the hole and knocks him down. It will be 3rd down and goal.
One of the most difficult and one of the easiest places to play defense is on the goal line. Defensive linemen get low. Linebackers like Crum, you know you just have to come forward. And a formation like Florida State ran, you know they're going to run right and they're going to come with power. You have to stop that fullback, the first man through.
Bennett, right side, touchdown.
Same formation, same ball carrier. Watch how low Bennett gets. Here's Berry, the corner. You're looking at it from the corner to defense. Good blocking. Here comes the fullback. Gets lower than the tackler. I think that's Maryland or Bernard Clark. He got lower than the tackler. Couldn't stop it. With the extra point, Florida State now by 7.
Richie Andrews converts. Our new score with 5:11 left in this opening period. The Noles by 7. In front of a lime tree. In the 80s, though, this is the ball club that has been a thorn in the side of Florida State. The Canes have won 7 and lost only 2. Mason's kick is going to come down short at the 20-yard line. 25, but at the 30 is Gibbs again. And Miami will take it over with good field position at the 33.
Bobby Bowden always coming up with something. This is Robert Stevenson, a tackle who makes this block, allows Bennett to go right there for the touchdown. Putting the left offensive tackle at the wing position. Boom, boom, and he's in. Always a different formation.
On the scoring drive, covering 81 yards following that penalty on the kickoff. Bennett from 1 yard out. 14-7 Florida State. Draw play. Conley, is he knocked back at the 39-yard line. Leroy Butler from his corner spot, and you could see the headgear go completely back in the jar of the tackle. Kev, I wasn't sure if he was reset as they moved him in the backfield.
Gino Torretta telling people what's going on here. You can see the freshman quarterback calling it, and Conley will take a step to the right. You were right, Ron. Running the show, just a freshman. He's on the scout team last year.
Alex Johnson in motion. Pressure from the corners. Pass incomplete. As you can see, Thomas had fallen down. The intended receiver at the 45-yard line. Lamar Thomas, a freshman out of Gainesville, Florida.
Now that was the first look at what Miami will do under Dennis Erickson. What they did is they sent the remaining back in the backfield in motion. And the reason, it was Alex Johnson. The reason they do that is they want Florida State to have to declare what they're going to play against that. That time it was man-to-man coverage. You'll see that again.
3rd down. The Canes need the 43. Torretta delivers the pass complete to Carroll at the 45, and he will have the Miami first down. Boy, I'll tell you what, Kev, the way they spread them out, regardless of what you do, this is a heck of an offense to try to diagnose.
You got to come after it or you got to cover it. Sheldon Thompson trying to come after it. He leads the team with 7.5 sacks. Number 93 gets through quick. Alex Johnson gets a hat on him. Toretta is able to jump left and complete the pass. Here we go to Wesley Carroll, the leading receiver. The key is Toretta. Can he get away from the rush? Can he complete the pass?
Johnson goes right side, has 5 yards, close to 10 as he takes it down to the 46-yard line. And that's going to be a gain very close tonight as Kirk Carruthers, a young man who has come on extremely well for Florida State this year, only a sophomore out of East Lansing, Michigan, puts a stopper on it. Shannon Crowell will check into the backfield. Miami with the down to play with here on the 2nd and short. Toretta, he's going for it all. Far sideline, and that's what, about 5 yards out of bounds. Randall Hill, the closest man to it. The closest non-uniform was one of the Florida State cheerleaders, about 6 yards out of bounds. 93, Randy Bethel checks into the lineup. He will be the second tight end along with Chudzinski. Toretta's numbers in this opening quarter: 5 of 9, 36 yards, 1 touchdown. On 3rd and 1, right side, Crowell, and I don't know. Very close as Eric Hayes, number 78, makes the pop.
They're going to measure this. They ran over the right side with Handy and Searcy over there. They're going to measure it.
I'd get behind Big Leon also. 6'3", 280 pounds. And Searcy wears a 17 triple E shoe. That is called a very good foundation. Or an inch.
Yeah, he missed it by nothing. To the right, Crowell, you're looking at it from a reverse angle. One back in the backfield, you know where he's going. Look at that offensive line. There's Searcy with a little block. Just clip. Just clip Hayes. That was Ron Holder that just clipped Hayes and gave enough to get in the seam.
On the 4th down conversion, Crowell over the top, 1st and 10 Miami at the 44-yard line. And again, Eric Hayes is the man who flipped him to the turf. Dennis Erickson. We spent Thursday down in Miami watching the Hurricanes go through their final warm-up for this ball game tonight. And Erickson said, when it comes to changes, there were some I didn't want to touch. We'll talk more about that as the ball game goes on. Toretta, quick set, far side. It is caught by Carroll at the 26. Wesley Carroll, we had to wait for a moment as he came out of nowhere. It's good for 18 yards.
This is a great adjustment by both Toretta and Wesley Carroll. You're going to see Carroll come up the seam, or you're going to see Toretta throw this thing. He's just finding that dead spot in the middle of the zone. And look at Toretta laying in there. Wesley Carroll lays out. Great story, Wesley Carroll. Tragic incident last year in his life, but he came back and has really made good here in Miami.
Toretta goes running play. Johnson hit in the backfield. Eric Hayes, one of the first men to get there and knock him down. Also Bryce Abbott, who normally is the nickelback, steps up into the hole.
Number 78, Eric Hayes, came back overweight again, was out for those 2 losses early in the year for Florida State, but an outstanding player. Tough to block, impossible to block lately. There he is. Loves meatballs, loves his mama's meatballs.
Draw play. Alex Johnson hit and knocked down after a gain of 1. And Eric Hayes, either that or Florida State's got more than 178 in the field. This guy has been everywhere.
Well, he is. When his weight is down and he's down to about 270, he's just impossible. He's a little high, but he gets his hands on hand. He does a spin, which is just an incredible move for a guy 270. As soon as he saw the ball go and he put his butt right into Handy and was able to spin out and get back to the ball carrier. He's smiling because he's thin. He's thin now. He's thin.
Third down. Miami needs the 16-yard line. Blitz from the outside. Toretta running for his life. Nobody home. Kirk Carruthers, number 45, was applying the most pressure. And let's see, it is going to be Huerta. He will come out to attempt the field goal, and this one will be placed down at the 34. It is a 44-yard attempt. He is 11 of 14 on the season, his longest 52. As the distance, and we have a 14-10 ball game as Carlos Huerta splits him from 44 yards. Let's take a timeout. Bills by 4. Ball, and you gotta love your school to do that.
You suppose that comes off? Or you lift it off or what?
Hey, it may get cool down here. He may just leave it.
Hope there's a brain under there.
Carlos Huerta kicks it off. It is coming to Shannon Baker, the speedster at the 11. Runs into traffic at the 20-yard line, and with the quickness of Miami, you don't get much running laterally. Let's go down to Chris Fowler on the sideline. Chris?
Ron, I was listening to the Miami defensive huddle. They're a little bit shell-shocked. The number 2 defense in the country in scoring, already giving up more points in the first quarter than they usually give up all game. The secondary talking about poor tackling. That's really hurt them in the 2 Florida State touchdown drives. The linebackers concerned about getting their reads right and some confusion about who the linebacker is supposed to be covering in the pass patterns, fellas. Keep an eye on it.
Well, great graphic in tonight, 8.2. Again, they reverse it out. Peter Tom Willis drills the ball complete to Roberts, the tight end. And he is out to the 34-yard line and a marker following the tackle.
What Chris Fowler just said is a very telling thing. The linebackers are confused. Let's see what the penalty is.
Personal foul against Miami after Roberts had taken it out to the 34. Now the penalty will be stepped off against the Hurricanes. And this one will go all the way to the 49-yard line.
Shot number 57, Bernard Clark, as he goes by. Absolutely no, there was no face mask there. He grabbed the side of his
jersey. You're exactly right.
Unless there's more here.
Oh,
whoa! Look at that hand in there. A little extra. We'll talk about these linebackers and pass coverage in there.
Lee checks in at tailback, breaks it out for 5, and is all the way down to the 41-yard line. That's close to a 10-yard gain. As Shane Curry, a junior out of Cincinnati, Ohio, wraps him up. John Brown, the right tackle for the Seminoles, with a great clearing block.
When you're playing linebacker and you have to think about pass coverage, it definitely will affect you on the run. Now, Miami does not use a nickel. They try to cover with their linebackers. They don't take their linebackers out because they feel like Maurice Crum is like a strong safety. If they're confused, there's going to be a problem all night for Miami. They'll have to simplify their defense. It'll make it easier for Florida State.
Well, as the chain comes from across the way, Bernard Clark, senior out of Tampa, injured a left knee against Missouri. And as Kevin said earlier, he actually is the heart and soul of this Miami defense. And in fact, the Florida State coaches also said that. They said they are a far better defensive club when 57 is on the field.
Well, this defense is designed for the middle linebacker to make most of the plays. The defensive line is supposed to occupy the lineman. Every time you have a 4-3, and that middle linebacker has to be a big part of it. Without Bernard Clark, they were hurt. Florida State people felt that they needed to test Miami against the run, that the Hurricanes had not been tested against a good running team all year, and they're making the run work early on.
14-10. Florida State leads. 20 seconds remaining first period. Moore right up the middle. He able to have the first down. You see a marker right down at the bottom of the screen. Let's go to Bob Carpenter for this update.
All right, Ron, and Southern Cal is rolling at home. Leroy Holt will go in from 4 yards out. They'll go for 2 and have it intercepted, but in the fourth quarter, it's 19-0 SC. They've allowed -3 yards rushing to Stanford.
So the Trojans are rolling. And back here in Tallahassee, the 5th penalty of the opening quarter against Miami. That is unlike them.
Well, they're a very disciplined team, and remember, they had a week off. This is a very emotional game for them, and there's not many teams on their schedule that have a chance to derail them before a bowl game. This is one of them. They want to come in here and prove something once again, and they're pumped up, and it's costing them.
Waiting for the officials to step off the penalty, and now they mark it off just inside the 37. Miami opponents, this is updated through today. Hurricane opponents have won 14, losing 30, and 1 tie. Whistle sound, and that is the end of the first quarter. And across the way, they are coming to their feet. After the first 15 minutes, Florida State on top by 4. Franklin and Kevin Cowley in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm so glad to have you along this evening. And this battle is at Sunshine State, number 2 against number 9 nationally. Antley, left side. Finally knocked down by Bernard Clark, but the man who grabbed him at the ankles was Maurice Crum. It's going to be a pickup of around 5. Well, the storyline in this one, as you look back at the first 15 minutes, and in the opening quarter, Butler with that interception on the very first play. And, of course, Carter on the first snap from scrimmage goes 37 for the touchdown. And the average rushing in the ballgame. And, Ken, how shocked are you with that? Almost 10 yards per try.
Well, it's a monster for FSU because it gives them balance offensively and keeps that rush of Miami's from getting to them.
Play action. Backside. Willis has the ball knocked loose. It's recovered by Miami. Richard Newbill hit him from behind and caused the fumble. Crum makes the recovery at the 42-yard line.
Newbill is a guy from Bakersfield Community College. They say he's like the former Southern Cal linebacker Marcus Cotton. Bigger, stronger, not as quick. Nobody blocks him. And here comes Crum to pick it up. Now, this is the rush we were talking about. Miami, a lot of pressure, a lot of fine athletes.
Toretta, quick out pass, and it is caught by Hill. Nope, they're going to say he trapped it. Hill can't believe it. Randall Hill is a track man. He's a 4.3 sprinter. Was a cornerback in high school. And Coach Erickson said he is still learning the position because he was primarily on the defensive side of the ball.
People ask him how fast he is. He says it's classified. And he's not kidding.
Florida State still jumping around on defense. Pass thrown complete. That is to Carroll at the 48-yard line. And Miami will look at a 3rd down situation. They need to cross midfield and go to Florida State's 47-yard line. Houston by 7 over Arkansas, as both teams have scored again. Also in the Southwest Conference, A&M wins big over Rice. Baylor knocks off TCU. And North Texas falls to SMU. That's the 2nd win of the year for the SMU opponents. On 3rd down, quick pass, almost intercepted. Incomplete, it'll be 4th down, and that's Chris Hall who stepped in front. Hold on. He had 55 yards of open ground in front of him.
Well, the Seminoles were all over this. They went to a trips on the left with nobody in the backfield. Florida State's defense comes up. Everybody was coming up. Here's a reverse angle. Here's the trips. Carruthers gets blocked. Toretta throws it, and Hall is a half a step from taking that one for a touchdown.
Tim Cabal to punt for Miami. This is something that the Canes just simply have not had to do very much this year because of that outstanding defense. And it's a great coverage kick. Buckley falls down at the 18-yard line. 33 yards in the kick. That was the 24th punt. Kev only 4 returned for no yardage this entire season.
Why bother returning any?
That's like a stat from Oz.
Yeah, that's right.
Record crowd here in Tallahassee, Florida tonight. We had a record crowd last week as Auburn came to town. But when these two teams meet, well, tickets are at a premium.
Burt Reynolds is here. Lonnie Anderson is here. I should have said Lonnie's here. They called him Buddy Reynolds when he played back here in the 50s. He dropped that when he became a detective. And I guess a rum runner. I guess that's what he does.
14-10. Florida State on top. Just over 13 minutes. And total yards in the ball game, relatively close. They run the reverse. Ronald Lewis looks for a block, and against Miami, that is an extremely tough thing to do. As Bernard Clark not only stays at home, but knocks him down for a 1-yard loss.
He's lucky he came out of this alive. I want you to see a 290-pound accident waiting to happen. Number 96, Cortez Kennedy, toward the disregard, draws speed. Look at it. He just misses him.
Cortez with 4.87 speed.
See it from another angle. And just got going. Hard to change direction when you're 290 pounds. But good coverage, good speed by Miami. Covered up. Here's Clark.
You see the blitz in the middle. Dexter Carter gets caught by a shoestring. Maurice Krubb saved what could have been a very big gainer for Florida State because the blitz was coming. Linebacker in the middle was gone. It was vacated. 4-0. Oakland trying to make it in a sweep. Mike Lacoste in the ball game for the San Francisco Giants. Carter now 5 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Blitz coming again, and the ball is knocked down. It was Crum. Maurice Crum is the man who got up and knocked it down.
He's the best tackler on the team. They say he's instinctive, a natural linebacker, and now in a passing situation, you're seeing what Miami can do. That front 4 is coming. Here comes Crum. So quick, way up. And they get to Peter Tom.
Charlie Ward, first punt of the night for Florida State. Line drive kick. Bounces over the head of the receiver inside the 30. It is still rolling. And goes dead. It's a 54-yard kick down at the 26-yard line. Hard to figure why Carroll let it go. Let's take a break. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Miami versus Florida State, is brought to you by Jeep. There's only one Jeep. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by Levi's, 505 and 506 jeans. Florida State leads 14-10. Just over 11 minutes to play until halftime. Conley right up the middle. Carruthers steps up into the hole and knocks him down at the 30.
After that first interception on the first play from scrimmage, Gino Toretta, 7 for 14, just had 1 interception. He's only hit 2 of his last 6, however. So he got hot there a little bit late in the first quarter, and now it's cooled off a bit.
You know, I was impressed with what Coach Erickson said the day before yesterday about not rocking the boat coming into a situation. The ship that's running very high in the water. You don't make a lot of changes. 3 rushing linemen, 8 back, and the pass incomplete. It's Pee Wee Smith, the intended receiver. Want to know why he is called Pee Wee? Demetrius Devon is his given name. Pee Wee is what the guy's called.
No, it's Pee Wee Demetrius Devon. That was a pick play on Bill Reagan's, the safety, and it worked. The ball was thrown a little bit behind him. They're playing man-to-man on that triple, the double slot on the left. And what Florida State is trying to do is pick that safety when he takes the inside slot. It worked on that play.
Smith late entering the ball game. Draw play. Corrals tries to spin off the tackle. He will be knocked out after a gain of only 1. And Reagan's, along with Bryce Abbott from the secondary. And boy, what a hand for this Florida State defense. Terrell Buckley, number 4 in the nation in punt returns, almost 20 per return. Palau really boomed one a moment ago. Not great in distance, but super as far as coverage. It hung up there for over 4.5 seconds. This spiral will not turn over, and Buckley, waiting for the move, gets one block up the near sideline, and now a late marker comes down. As clipping is going to be called against Florida State, Buckley backtracked and lost 3 more.
What Buckley is doing, he got away with this earlier in the year against the Syracuse Orangemen. He didn't do exactly the same. He kind of stood still, faked a fair catch. Here he'll catch it, and he's waiting for the defense, trying to set up blocks. And he almost gets one set up here, but you're going to see a clip. Right there. The head has to be in front for it not to be a clip. So it'll come back. There's another clip.
Ball has been pushed back to the 17-yard line, or in the vicinity. They are still looking. Now they go back another 5. They have placed it down at the 13. Just over 10 minutes to play. Opening half, Florida State 14-10 over Miami. The Hurricanes, number 2 in the nation, 6-0. And for the Seminoles, they are 5-2. They dropped their 2 opening games and then have come roaring back. Willis gets it off incomplete, looking for Bennett. Out of the right flat. Maurice Crum pressuring on the play.
For number 22, Edgar Bennett. Broken up by number 45, Devin Smith.
Peter Tom Willis, Morris, Alabama. A senior, and his coach is the first to say that he is a little embarrassed, maybe himself, that it took him as long as it did to put him into the lineup, particularly with the output that he has given the Seminoles. Draw play. Out of the 15 to the 17-yard line as Cortez Kennedy steps up into the hole. And Bennett couldn't find much running room. Miami has stiffened defensively considerably.
Their defensive philosophy, very strange one. Disregard the draw. Look at Russell Maryland. Upfield, forget the draw. He never even looked. And the draw play goes right by him. The reason for that, they're so quick. This man runs a 4'8", 265 pounds. The linebackers react so quickly they figure they can cover up.
Pressure from the outside. The short drop incomplete. Ronald Lewis, and there you could see the ball thrown before the break again as the pressure was coming, but on the short drop, unsuccessful. And now Charlie Ward will have to come out and kick unless he booms it. Miami stands to get very good field position. 54 on his first one. Wesley Carroll back in a single safety. Driving spiral. Carroll fumbles the ball. Scramble. Who's got it? Miami has made the recovery. 45 yards in the kick, and Carroll had it come off his chest. And then he got back down on the football with Seminoles all around him. Chris Hall, one of the first men there. Oh, but it hit his face mask.
He was looking at the people. He was going to run with that thing, and he was looking downfield. That's why it hit him in the face mask.
14-10. 9 minutes, 14 seconds left until the halftime. Just stayed leading by 4, just over 9 minutes to play until the halftime. The noise meter, yeah, it's peaking. Conley, sweep to the left with a blocker in front, has 2 very tough yards. Now the student athlete of the game is brought to you by the U.S. Army. Get an edge on life. Be all you can be. And tonight's recipient is Miami tight end Rob Chedzinski. Rob is a business management major with a 3.2 grade point average. Our congratulations to him. Young fellow out of Toledo, Ohio, is only a junior, was not highly sought after, but has played extremely well for the King. Coretta gets it across the middle. Bethel has it complete. Takes it across midfield, and he's down to the 48-yard line. 13 yards, and Kevin, on that play, something that we saw in practice the other day. Toretta sometimes, when he gets in a hurry, jumps to throw the football.
Well, he likes to jump to the tight end here. A lot of times when you go over the middle, you need a little bit extra. You're right, Ron. He jumped there, and he was able to hit Bethel. Again, they're going to the weak side. That's Carruthers on the defense of Carruthers, and he didn't. You need to tackle him and not swat at the ball like that. They're going away from those 3 receivers, trying to slip a guy inside.
So it's a timeout of the field. Just over 8 minutes to play. ESPN's College Football Saturday kicks off every week at 11:30 Eastern Time with College Game Day. Bob Carpenter, Bino Cook, and Lee Corso have a preview of the day in college football. That is followed by 3 games that will showcase Heisman candidates. 12:30, it's Anthony Thompson in Indiana playing host to Michigan State. And at 4 o'clock, 15th ranked West Virginia, Major Harris invade Happy Valley as they will take on number 14 ranked Penn State as they played a close one today against Alabama. Then at 7:30, Emmitt Smith and 19th ranked Florida visit 16th ranked Auburn. Kevin and I will be in Auburn, Alabama next week. Now we got a break here. USC still pitching a shutout over the Stanford Cardinals. Good night going from Marinovich. Arkansas has come back with a field goal, and at halftime, very close game. Tulsa by 10 over Louisiana Tech. They're at halftime, and UTEP is leading San Diego State. Receivers to the right. Quick out pass comes to Carroll. Going to be shoved out of bounds inside the 40, and it's Carruthers who catches him from behind.
What they're doing is here, they're trying to pick on Carruthers right here with Carroll, and they get him coming out here to the flat, and Carruthers comes to here and then lets him go. And they're able to hit him on the pass. Watch, Carruthers 45. See how he lets him go? Then they hit Carroll in the flat, and he takes it upfield. They're going to have to cover him all the way. He's the leading receiver. They've got to cover him tighter.
Coretta gets it out in the flat. It's Carroll again. Caught by Butler and tackled at the 32-yard line, and a flag is thrown at the 33.
Face mask, Florida State, 5 yards.
That penalty will push it inside the 30-yard line. Leroy Butler, who came up with his 6th interception of the season early in the ballgame, in fact, on the first snap. Gino Toretta, Pinole, California, only a freshman, took over when Erickson suffered a fracture on his knuckle on his passing hand. And the youngster has really done a magnificent job. 2 brothers played college football. In fact, one, Jeff, played at Miami. He was a backup to Vinny Testaverde.
Tragic
interesting story.
Yeah, his dad died last year.
Yes.
And His brother, Jeff, who wanted to play pro ball, went and has taken over the family business, which includes a sports bar.
You know, he told me after practice, Gino did on Thursday, almost spooky, that his brother told him in the summer, he said, Michigan State is going to be a much tougher game than what you guys realize. And he said, I think that's going to be your game. I think that's going to be your game. And that's the one when Erickson went down and he came in and led him to victory. Counter play, Johnson hit by Higgins. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a 2nd down and 10. There's Craig Erickson. That hand is still extremely swollen. It's the one underneath the arm there. And it is the finger, your pointing finger actually, that the knuckle was broken up. Well, he was off to a great start. And there is a look at that knuckle. I don't see how he grips the football at all, but you understand why he is not playing. Gino Torretta has stepped in and has done a fantastic job. Torretta sacks, throws, incomplete. Hawkins, the intended receiver. Dawkins, I beg your pardon. At the 22-yard line, and it will be 3rd down and 10.
Well, that play has been open all night. Again, they picked Bill Reagans there, and were able to get him clear over the middle. Oakland still leading 4-0. That's in the 4th inning over San Francisco. They win it. They win the World Series.
14-10 our score. Florida State leads. 7:24 left until halftime.
Now for Wesley Carroll here.
Pressure up the middle. Pass is incomplete, and a marker pass interference will be called against Florida State. Shannon Crowell out of the backfield, the intended receiver. And it looks like Bryce Abbott is the man they got.
They're going to call him for not turning around. I don't think he hit Crowell. I think he just never turned around. He didn't see the ball. I think he's in his face. They'll call it face guarding. Watch the ball. Watch number 23, Abbott. I don't know what the penalty would be. It looked like he turned his head.
He must have shoved him just prior to where you saw that, because
I was watching him up the sideline. I don't see anything unless they're going to call it on the earlier play. He was chasing him up the sideline, and I didn't see any contact. The only thing I can say is that he wasn't playing the ball. He was playing the receiver.
He didn't appear to be close enough to get it. 1st and 10 Miami at the 17-yard line. Run. Oh, my goodness, what a hit. Dedrick Dodge coming up from his free safety spot, and another flag goes down. Boy, you could feel and hear that one all the way up here.
That was a classic tackle. Classic.
There's holding on Florida State.
Number 28, 6'2", 180, Dedrick Dodge. Watch this shot. That is classic. Head up. Ooh.
Crowell really gets jarred. But meantime, as we come back to live action, as you look at the penalties, Miami, we mentioned 5 against them in the opening period. Now Florida State with 6. The ball is just inside the Seminole 8-yard line. Knocked down at the line of scrimmage. 93 Shelton Thompson. The senior out of Lakeland got his left hand up and knocked it down.
Again, on the near side here, they're trying to pick. They're running 3 receivers, actually 4 if you counted the setback there, to the wide side of the field. And they're trying to pick somebody. They're playing man-to-man coverage. Florida State is. They're trying to pick them and get somebody open.
2nd down. Short drop, has it complete. Dawkins tackled inside the 3-yard line. Terrell Buckley comes up defensively. It'll be 3rd down and goal. If you go to a Miami workout, Coach Erickson stays with the quarterbacks. He does not drift from one side of the field offensively and then defensively. He is with the quarterbacks, and you can see Pee Wee Smith coming in, bringing the play. That's the messenger service for the team. Toretta lobs it to the end zone, intercepted.
They went to two tights with two people in the backfield. I think they thought Florida State would bite on the play action. They didn't. Kevin Grant, way up. A lot of people back there. The thing was never there. Toretta had run out of end zone. Kevin Grant didn't bite on the play fake. Interception, Florida State.
So both ball clubs in the first half have had offensive drives that were moving well. Miami all the way to the one, but yet had come up with turnovers. Dexter Carter, right side, finds running room, and then it closes oh so quickly as Hurley Brown, a sophomore out of Merritt Island, Florida, wraps him up. He's the strong safety, replacing Harden. And Harden is another guy that this Miami defense misses sorely.
An outstanding player in a secondary that has been, well, under scrutiny, let's say. Some people feel that the front seven of Miami, the strength of the team, the secondary is still young. They really need Bobby Harden, but to this point, Hurley Brown's played extremely well.
Carter gets the pitch. Little seam in the defense. Will take it for a couple, and then Willis Pegues closes the hole down. It's going to be third down. Florida State will need the 30-yard line, and they're going to place this down just around the 27-yard line. 7 carries for Carter for 60 yards. They held him out last week against Auburn. Amp Lee, the freshman out of Chipley, Florida, went for the most part the distance in that one. As a shoulder separation, it was a mild one, but they wanted to keep Carter out and have him ready for tonight. Willis running for his life, and he is sacked. Willis Pegues way back at the 15-yard line.
You would think against the team as aggressive as Miami that comes upfield, this would work. It's a bootleg. Now watch Willis Pegues, 58. From sees it, but Pegues keeps outside leverage and then has the ability to react inside and get a hold of Peter Tom Willis and drag him down.
Ward to punt. Low, wobbly spiral. This one is not going to make midfield. And one of the things that Bobby Bowden said in our meeting yesterday was extremely worried that Ward had not been kicking well at all. The Hurricanes will take it over with great field position at the Florida State 44. Back to live action. We apologize. The officials did not hold play. On first down, they went long up the left sideline for Carroll. The pass was incomplete. And on second down, they throw it complete to Lamar Thomas. He is stopped at the Florida State 37. It will be third down Miami, needing 3 yards for the first. Toretta, ball is tipped and it's intercepted. Kirk Carruthers.
Terrell Buckley made that play, Ron, number 27. They tried to go to Wesley Carroll again, but they changed the defense. Florida State came up and covered him tightly here. Watch Buckley. See Buckley sitting right there in the zone in front of Wesley Carroll. He tipped it up. Carruthers had it. And they played it a lot closer to the line of scrimmage, and it paid off. They pick off Toretta.
Third interception off the freshman tonight. Second of the year for Carruthers. Draw play. Dexter Carter, nothing there. Oh my goodness, Maurice Crum. Good look at Kirk Carruthers, only a sophomore. East Lansing, Michigan.
The leading tackler on the team, Carruthers, and a great cover guy, but in that case, he was the recipient of just a floater. Of course, they have that drill. You know, Wayne McDuffie told us yesterday, Florida State offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, he said this is going to be a game we can't be out tough. They haven't been.
Draw play again. This time it is Bennett going straight ahead. Takes it to the 35. They gained the yardage back that they lost just a moment ago. Russell Maryland has the stop for Miami, and now it's a third down. And to maintain possession, Florida State needs to take it out to their own 45. Kevin, we still haven't played a first half of football here. And how many hits? We're almost to double digits of, oh my goodness, hits. I mean, they have really been racking some headgears tonight.
Well, Wayne McDuffie really made that point. You have to be tough to play Miami.
Blitz is on. They set screen to the right, incomplete. And while you're at home thinking, well, with the blitz, it's the perfect call, did you see two white jerseys come flying into the picture? Team speed by these two ball clubs is absolutely incredible, and particularly on the part of Miami.
I think that's a very good point and a perfect example of how they disregard the screen in the draw. They couldn't have cared less. That was a screen pass. That was a dead sprint, and Peter Tom Willis was the finish line.
See if Ward can get off a better one this time. Spiral is not going to turn over. Fair catch is called for. Fumbled again by Carroll, and he makes his own recovery. Boy, Dennis Erickson has a very nervous stomach before ball games, but after what Carroll has done twice tonight, he may be chewing on the tums at halftime.
Well, Charlie Ward kicked a knuckleball. You can see Carroll has no idea. I mean, he's really having a problem with it. It was kind of a knuckleball. But Wesley can sure pick him up after he drops him. He's super too. Must have a lot of practice dropping him.
Probably played baseball. 1:59 left until halftime. Seminoles by 4. Toretta gets it out, complete to Conley, puts a head down. Ball is fumbled, and Florida State recovers at the 33. Buckley made the hit. Dinkins, I believe, came up with the football. Will double check it.
Well, you can put up another oh my goodness hit. Conley, Buckley just low. The boot. Carruthers comes. He's the one that forces the fumble. The ball is loose. And Dinkins is the one that gets it. Howard Dinkins.
You know, we had talked early on that Conley is their fullback, but he only weighs 170 pounds. And when he gets double teamed, you can see what happened. Incomplete, and pressure in the middle by 49 Maurice Crum is what made the play go awry.
Miami does blitz. They blitz more than they did under Jimmy Johnson. They have that great front four. They're not getting through with the front four, which is a credit. We haven't spoken about them. To that offensive line of Florida State, Stevenson and Haynes and Tanks, Yeomans and John Brown. They've done a tremendous job, and now they're beginning to blitz Miami because they can't get the pressure.
You see 6 men at the line of scrimmage. Quick out pass, incomplete, and I'm not so sure that Pegues didn't tip that one.
Peter Tom Willis is not going to get away with this much longer. He's taken 2 steps, looking at the receiver and throwing those things, and he's throwing them wide. The Miami defensive secondary is going to come up and get one. When you blitz, you work together. When you know in the secondary that your linebackers are blitzing, you play tighter, and you're liable to take a chance because they have to throw the ball quicker. Miami is expert at that.
Coming up at a halftime with the USF&G halftime report. We'll bring you up to date on what has gone on today. Linebackers creeping up, they stay at home. Dave Roberts, the tight end. He will be tackled after a gain of maybe 5 in the play. Newbill, the first man to come over and make contact, and Roland Smith from his cornerback spot. Peter Tom Willis had been sacked only 7 times coming into tonight's ball game. and has thrown for over 1,800 yards. With the fourth down situation, Richie Andrews will come on to attempt a field goal of 46 yards. His longest is 43. It's a fake. Pass is away, and they will not have it. Oh, what defense on the part of Miami as Kenny Berry comes up to nail the Florida State receiver. Flag at the 27-yard line as Bennett took the pass. He was the up blocker on the right side.
Well, that's not all he took.
Illegal procedure on Florida State is declined. First down.
Well, if there's anyone on earth you'd be looking for this against, it's Bobby Bowden's team. Andrews goes through with it, but the big part of this play is the end of it. Watch Kenny Berry on Bennett as he turns around. Number 6. I mean, that is the hat right under the shoulder pad. And no question, no first down there, folks.
So Miami holds. They have 57 seconds to work with. Toretta, far sideline, complete to Carroll. Out to the 40-yard line. Good for 15 yards. And how about the Canes in the 2-minute drill? 4 of 6. 3 touchdowns. Pretty darn good percentage.
The guys to look for here are Hill and Wesley Carroll.
Toretta under pressure. Over the middle. Intercepted by Carruthers. His second of the ball game. And the 4th interception thrown by the freshman.
Here's Carroll over here, and here's Carruthers. And he's going to take him right to here and pick it off. Good man coverage here. Watch him stay right in front of him. Steps right inside. He knows he has to throw it quick, and he picks it off. That's just great coverage by Carruthers.
45 seconds left. Let's see if Florida State runs it up here. Willis, nope, far sideline. It is complete at the 38-yard line, and they're going to say he did not get out of bounds. Ronald Lewis has a reception of 10 yards. Clock is stopped as they move the chains. And Peter Tom Willis wants to come to the sideline and talk with Bobby Bowden. So let's take a break. 34 seconds left until halftime. The Noles looking for more. 15 to 10. Not much time left until halftime. And what is going through that young man's mind? 4 interceptions into this game tonight. And that is how many he has thrown in this evening's ball game. Blitz coming in the middle. Willis going long, has a man open. Incomplete. They had taken Carter out of the backfield. He was 5 yards behind the defense, and the ball was overthrown.
Charles Farms, number 2, never had a chance. Good protection. That was the key. You get Carter out of the backfield. If he throws this inside to the post, it's a touchdown. Got away from Peter Tom. Out of bounds, no harm done. Charles Farms will remember that.
Charlie is only a sophomore out of Houston Madison High School. Started as a true freshman. First man to do that since 1984 at Miami. Willis to the near side. Incomplete. Lassane, the intended receiver. 24 seconds until halftime.
It's good coverage by Roland Smith. Peter Tom has missed on 11 passes tonight. 4 of them have been dropped, clean drops.
cooled off a little bit in the second quarter. As Willis, 63 yards in the opening 15 minutes, only 15 as Miami has turned it up a notch on defense as far as pressure. 15 yards in the second quarter. They're coming in the middle again. They try to set screen. Willis, and he just throws this one away. Pegues and Russell Maryland applying pressure, and now a marker comes down way back at the 48-yard line.
Well, I know which official didn't throw the flag. It was the one that was blocking for Peter Tom back there.
14-10, the Seminoles on top. 18 seconds left in this opening half.
Intentional grounding, Florida State.
No, I'm sorry. When you stop the clock in the last second of a half, you throw the ball 10 yards out of bounds, and there is no marker.
Well, there's no receiver there, and it's way out of bounds. But I mean, that's not a good call. You're right. That's not a good call. Obviously, he was throwing the ball out of bounds, but that's the right thing to do.
Charlie Ward. 4 kicks for 37 yards, his average. Wesley Carroll has been thrill a minute tonight, receiving these punches back deep. This is a driving spiral, and Carroll will run away from it as this will go dead inside the 5-yard line. 56 yards on the kick. If somebody touched it, the clock would have continued to run until they did. I think you can look for Gino Torretta to just fall on the football with 5 ticks left. USF&G halftime report, scores and highlights from around the country. Number 1, Notre Dame won at home, and they won decisively over a good Pitt team.
You have to give Notre Dame a lot of credit. They had a lot of problems early in the year. They had the problem last week with the fight in the runway with USC. Lou Holtz managed to keep them focused, and they beat what I think is a very fine Pittsburgh team and beat them soundly today.
You were looking at Kirk Carruthers, who has 2 interceptions, and there you see Torretta go down, and that will do it here in this first half. They head to the locker room in Tallahassee, Florida, with our score. Florida State 14. They scored on their opening play of the night, and Miami 10. Now let's go to Bob Carpenter for the USF&G halftime report.
All right, Ron, thank you very much. And the gentlemen, Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley, talked about what a tough matchup this would be a couple of hours ago.
Thanks, Bob Carpenter. 14-10, our halftime score. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley in Tallahassee, Florida. And we talked off the top of this telecast about exactly how tough this rivalry was going to be, and nobody has been disappointed. You might look at the numbers in the first half and say, we expected a little more than that. Well, we talk a lot about offense of these two clubs. The defenses have been extremely impressive.
Well, they adjusted in the second quarter, I think. Certainly the Miami defense did. Florida State has 2 touchdowns in this game, but they had 131 yards in that first quarter and 14 total yards in the second quarter. The key really to the Florida State offense was their rushing, and let me show you what they did here on one of their rushing plays. The center, Michael Tanks, takes care of Cortez Kennedy here, and you have Brown, the tackle, taking care of the other tackle. Bennett came up here actually and sealed off Clark. Yeomans came up and led through the hole, and then you had the other guard making a play too. Now watch as you'll see this man run for good yardage, and that would be the tailback Carter. Everybody coming up, making blocks, taking care of those 2 inside people, the tackles for Miami. That was the key in the first quarter. In the second quarter, they had a very difficult time, did Florida State, moving the ball, and that was because the Miami defense adjusted and played a lot tougher.
Well, just a few moments ago, as Florida State was coming back out on the field, Chris Fowler had a chance to talk with Bobby Bowden about the first half.
All right, thanks, Ron. With Bobby Bowden, Coach, you kept them off balance early. They adjusted. What's your plan to deal with all that quickness and that pressure on your quarterback?
Oh, if we can protect our pass, we're getting people wide open downfield, and we can't protect our passer, and our passer's probably throwing a little too cautiously. I think he's got to go into him with the ball. But if we don't protect our passer, we better hope they don't score any more points.
What about the health of Adele Higgins, your fine nose guard?
I think he's okay. I thought they said he was okay at the half.
Okay, thanks very much, Coach. Ron?
Chris, thanks very much. We have gotten still another update. They say a nerve in his stomach.
I've never heard of it.
I haven't either. But I would imagine that it would take that and just a whole lot more to keep 53 out of the second half of this ball game. Huerta kicks it off. It is going to come down to Dexter Carter at the 7-yard line. Little surprised to see him having that separated shoulder on the kick return team, but Carter is the man. Let's go back down to Chris Fowler on the sideline.
Okay, fellas, Odell Haggins does have what's called a direct nerve injury to his stomach that took him off the end of the first half. The lights were not on. He was very groggy. He's going to try to go. Very important to the Florida State defense. Also, split end Ronald Lewis came into the game with a separated shoulder. He has re-injured it. He's also going to try to play.
Thanks, Chris Fowler. An update on the injury woes of the Seminoles. Carter to the left side, gets a block, tries to get another one from Dawsey, and will submarine at the 30. Going to be shy of the first down by a couple as Cortez Kennedy makes the stop for Miami after a gain of 8. These are the first half stats. Talk about total yards. Miami 192, Florida State 145. Of the 62 yards rushing by Florida State, a majority of that came in the first 15 minutes.
Well, they had a total of 14 yards in the second quarter. The stat that really jumps out is the 83 yards passing for Florida State. This is a very fine passing team.
5 turnovers against the Hurricanes. Middle linebacker blitz. Willis. He's going to take it himself. Goes down at the 35, and the Florida State bench desperately wants a flag. 8-0, and it looks like Oakland can get out the broom. They are in the 6th inning. 8-0, leading over San Francisco in the World Series. Willis picks up the first down as they will spot it down just shy of the 35-yard line. Straight ahead, this is Bennett. Breaks it out of the quick hitter. 1st and 10, Florida State. Charles Farms from his free safety position makes the stop, but it's a gain of 13.
Watch number 67, Russell Maryland. He's going to run right by the play. They don't even block him. They just let him go upfield. Again, good play calling. Give it to that fullback very quickly. And look at him following that block. Just a super job. Hayward Haynes, number 65, made the block. A quick hitter past Maryland. Big rushing yardage. The key for Florida State is to run the ball.
Hayward Haynes playing with a broken hand. Carter tries to dance up into the hole, and he's not going to dance by Bernard Clark. And the senior from Tampa is right there to spinning down for no gain.
You notice when it's a pursuit play, when Miami can react and pursue, they're very, very tough. When they hit quick and run right at them, it's very difficult for Miami. You can't use your speed.
Willis in the first half, 6 of 18, 78 yards. He was sacked twice. Intercepted. Dennis Smith down the far sideline with a blocker in front, and a marker comes from deep downfield. Miami will get it on the turnover, 22 yards on the return. And now another marker comes from downfield. And still another one. Roland Smith made the interception. And on the return, there were bodies flying in all directions. The officials trying to sort it out. We see 1, 2, 3 flags down. 1 on the Florida State side of the 50. 2 are down at the Miami 45.
Well, what you're going to see, I think, is Bernard Clark, as you look at him there, 57, he's going to clip. And then Dexter Carter, after the flag was thrown, he picked it up and threw it
In Bernard Clark's face, that gentleman right there.
Which is, looking at Bernard, that's not a good idea. Bernard looks like a tough guy. Peter Tom here, he was going this way all the way. See how he looked at Dawsey? I talked about this in the first half. This ball underthrown right to Smith, who played pretty good defense, and you're going to see a clip.
There's clipping on Miami after change of team possession. Dead ball foul, personal foul on Florida State. Dead ball foul, personal foul on Florida State.
Here you're going to see the whole thing. Now here's Clark, 57, and he's clipping Dexter Carter, and you're going to see a flag. And then he's talking now. Now he's clipped him, and he's telling him he clipped him. And here's Dexter says, excuse me a second, Tiger. Here.
Oh, my.
Oh, whoa. Tiger didn't like that. Now that was there were two personal fouls. There was another personal foul after that. There's Dexter. Bernard said something to him that upset him.
Miami ball.
Crowell, the ball carrier, to the left side for a couple. Hagens, well, that answers any questions about whether we would see him in the second half. There is a lot of talking going on in the field. I may have to back off what I said off the top, that this was not a heat rivalry.
Well, it's not hate. When you play football, it's wild and crazy out there. That's the way it should be. About Hagens, any kind of nerve injury, it comes and goes. Can feel fine 1 minute and hurt you the next.
Coretta, straight back in the pocket. Pressure, dumps it off. That is Johnson at the 35, and he's going to have the first down at the Florida State 30-yard line. Errol McCormick finally put the stopper on him as they had slipped him out of the backfield. Well, this graphic, that's the story of the game, actually, kid. 5 turnovers, Miami, 2 now, Florida State. Straight ahead in the running play, and it looks like Steve McGuire will have the first down. McGuire is about the only guy that Miami has who physically is like a fullback when he comes into the game at 5'11", 216.
It's a good story. McGuire, his dad, Earl McGuire, died last year of cancer. McGuire was not going to go to a major college. His dad said, "You can do it, son. You can do it." He told him to play at a major college. He did. He went to Fort Union to get his grades up, but his dad died before he found out he was going to Florida State.
They fake the draw. Toretta throws the pass, and it is caught. Nope, stepped out of bounds. Dawkins caught the ball. He was open, and his right foot, you'll see it, came down in the chalk line. I'm not so sure that either somebody got shoved out of a lane or ran a wrong pattern. There are a couple of bodies very close together here, Ken.
There was that jump by Toretta. You see, the front foot was out of bounds before the second foot came down. Good call.
You could see Randall Hill, number 3, was only about 3 yards behind his teammate, which brought a lot of Florida State secondary people in. Toretta now 16-30, 129 yards. Pressure up the middle, pass complete to Dawkins. Inside the 15, he's down to the 12, and Butler finally made the tackle. 1st and 10, Miami.
First down, Miami.
Okay, this is the trouble spot right here. They've been trying to pick all day, and they're going to confuse the defense and get him loose right over the middle. Watch it happen. They just get too many defensive players caught up in there. See him? He gets wide open over the middle.
Drop play to McGuire. Right side, almost breaks off the tackle, and he's down to the 8-yard line. Kirk Carruthers, who has had an extremely good defensive game, is the man who makes the tackle. Updating you on some other action. Arkansas now by 7 over Houston in the 4th period. Wow, 69 points scored in that one. Arizona in the 1st over Pacific. Louisiana Tech and Tulsa really lighting up the scoreboard. McGuire again to the right side. Cracked down hard inside the 5-yard line. Carruthers, the first man to come over and make the hit. Mike Sullivan with a very good block. He's a former guard. Started every game since his red shirt freshman year. Number 79. There you see, 6'4", 270 pounds, and the coaches look upon him as the real glue to this offensive front. Miami on third down, 70% on the season. McGuire, right side, touchdown, and the marker is down. Hold the phone from where the marker came from. Yep, Miami is signaling the same thing. The umpire threw it immediately.
There's holding on Miami. There's holding. Miami, 10 yards. Repeat third down.
So the Hurricanes take it in with McGuire, but they have to erase it. And the penalty forces it back to the 13-yard line. That is now 9 infractions for 87 yards against the Canes. Carruthers on the blitz. Pass is up, and it is incomplete. Terrell Buckley knocked it away, and for the world, it looked as though Thomas had it for the touchdown.
So I think there's a flag down on his run.
Marker down just inside the end zone.
There's pass interference on Florida State.
These officials are getting lots of help tonight, aren't they?
Pressure right away. Here comes Carruthers, number 45. Ball thrown up. And Buckley not looking at the ball. Had he looked at the ball and gone up, there would not have been a penalty. But it was back to the quarterback. He's playing the man. Now watch, you can see a good shot of it here. See him?
Yep.
Just in the face, trying to strip the arms.
McGuire, right side at the 1-foot line. Kurt Carruthers stops the touchdown. Well, I mentioned a moment ago, the turnover is the big story. Here is the second largest story of the night. And the penalties against both of these clubs.
It's amazing that Miami has 5 turnovers and 9 penalties for 87 yards. But if they get in here, they have the lead.
McGuire, no signal. McGuire stopped just inches away as Ostaszewski, Henry Ostaszewski, on the bottom of the pile, and it will be third down.
Great job piling up the center there. There was a hole, but McGuire got there a little late. Watch this, how low, look at how low Florida State is. McGuire barreling in there. Ostaszewski, 74, gets to hit the ball.
Whoa.
Hard to tell where the ball is. That's the key. His head was over, the ball wasn't.
Crowell leaps, ball is fumbled, and Kurt Carruthers recovers for Florida State.
Might have been the exchange. It looked like the running back may have jumped before the exchange. I don't know that he ever had it. Crowell, see, look at him. Yeah, as he was he was jumping before he even got the handoff. The ball was loose. It wasn't knocked loose. He threw it up there. And then Carruthers, who's been all over the football tonight, reacts and he gets it. Dennis Erickson. This is a big game, the biggest for him since he's come to Miami. Woo, loose.
second turnover inside the 20-yard line for the Miami Hurricanes. In fact, the second inside the 1-yard line. Willis, he's going to throw it. Going to go long. Looking, and he's got it. Ronald Lewis at the 48-yard line.
Ronald Lewis will come out, go like this, and circle right back. Only a lot longer here, and Peter Tom throws this thing before he even makes the cut. Watch him come, and now he's going to circle back to the middle of the field. What a bomb, and a tremendous pass by Peter Tom Willis, and a great pattern by Lewis from the end zone.
Bennett straight ahead, breaks out of a tackle, has 7, maybe 8 yards. Richard Newbill defensively for the Hurricanes.
Great call. You're going to see it now from behind the end zone, and the execution is fantastic. He knows he has single coverage here. He throws it way out to the middle of the field and lets Lewis just run under it here. You all can run under it at home. Here you come, off the living room couch, into the dining room, and boom, what a pass. What a passing route.
Roland Smith is the man he beat on the play, and the chance starts. Reverse, Dawsey. Up the near side of the field at the 35. Inside the 30s, down to the 26.
I've never seen a goal line stand fail to ignite an offensive team. Reverse. Use it. Pegues way out of the play there. Here's Crum. Too many guys to block him, and Dawsey still makes the play. Nice play by Crum. Dawsey put his head down. Florida State really keeping him off balance, Ron.
Dawsey with a great run and a super play defensively as Kenny Berry played off the block and stayed at home. What else does this man have in his hip pocket tonight? Bennett, left side of the quick hitter. First down, Florida State. 8-2 now as they play top of the 7th in the Bay. Kevin Mitchell has just hit a 2-run homer for the Giants.
That will make him feel better. He's had a rough series, but certainly if they lose the series, he will not feel that good. Dennis Erickson.
What's going to make him feel better? His defense right now is being kept off balance. Pushed out of bounds inside the 15. That will be a Florida State first down. Average on first downs. Florida State, that's great against anybody. But were you going against the Miami Hurricanes defense? That's simply incredible.
It's nearly a first down on every first down.
That's right. Great block from Bennett, the fullback, will be stopped inside the 10. Charles Farms, from his free safety position, put the stopper on it.
What a move by Ampli. Clark blitzed right up the middle, but he blitzed in the hole right between the center and the left guard. Ampli made that big cut. Edgar Bennett, nice block. Lee, as soon as he got the ball, he cut away from the blitzer and was able to pick up yardage.
Florida State leading by 4. Just over 5.5 minutes left, third period. Bennett, the quick hitter again, will take it in the vicinity of the 5-yard line. Maurice Crum denies him the 5. But Crum had 42 tackles coming into the ballgame, a sack, an interception for a touchdown. Can play both in the middle and also the outside, and has knocked down a pass tonight. 49. Does it all for the game. Right now, Florida State looking to the third down. They need the Miami 3. I don't see how Peter Tom Willis is able to hear the cadence. I know this is his home park, but it is extremely loud. Lee, right side, breaks off one tackle. He's close. Close to the first down is Hurley Brown. The strong safety has to come up and make the hit. And we will have a momentary timeout as the change will come from the other side of the field.
Tony Yeoman's nice block there. There's number 70. I think it's your right guard. Comes Anthony right up the middle. Bennett, another good block.
Economou also.
Reggie Johnson, the tight end. Here we go. Takes care of Newbill, forces him, takes him right out of the play. Nice play. Pegues, I mean, Willie Pegues.
The roar you heard as you watched the replay is that Peter Tom Willis and his offense now have a new set of downs. It is first and goal. The ball just outside the Miami 3.
Well, just moments ago, we were looking at the other team doing this.
Goes for a maybe one. They will deny him the 2-yard line. Bernard Clark, the big middle linebacker at 6'2", 246 pounds, steps up into the hole.
Now this should be exactly what the Miami defense does best. They're renowned, their front four, for getting off very low to the ground and getting under the offensive lineman, and that's goal line defense. And these linebackers are active and fly to the ball.
Willis under pressure, his arm is hit, and it is flag pass interference on a wounded duck.
The ball couldn't have been caught.
Lassane, the intended receiver. Newbill, number 38, was coming in with the pressure. Kevin, let's see if you're right, if they picked this flag up.
The ball could not have been caught. There was no way.
When you saw the ball go straight in the air, you wondered if a Miami defender, if he had been in the area, he would have had 99 yards of clear sailing.
Pass interference on Miami. Automatic first down.
Big mistake here for Peter Tom. Now I shouldn't say mistake, obviously. He's going to get pressure from Newbill. Tries to get the ball off, and it's a floater. Okay, it's up for grabs. Now, could he have come back? Yes, he could have. Good call. I was wrong. He just had, Berry had a hold of Anthony, would not let him come back. Ball was close to him.
Bennett, right side. No arms have gone up. He will be a foot away. They're going to mark it down just outside the goal line. And look at Bennett. He said, wait a minute. I thought I scored. In this formation that they're lining up, if you think, I see a 52 in the backfield, you're right. Robert Stevenson, a tackle, is lining up in the wing.
It's Robert Lee Stevenson. You see Bobby wants that touchdown. He's not going to get it. Number 52, bottom left of your screen. I'm sure he'll come in. Looking for somebody to block you. He gets a hold of Brown in the back. Bennett, hard to tell from that.
Bennett gonna be stacked up. In fact, he's gonna lose about a half yard. Richard Newbill will drop him for no gain. It will be 3rd down and goal.
Well, we've seen some goal line defense, haven't we?
Boy. 14-10. Florida State leads. We have 2:45 left in this 3rd period. 12th play of the drive coming up. You can see on their faces on the sideline the intensity in this situation. Anthony turns it up, and he didn't make it.
What a hit.
Bernard Clark. Touchdown. They have said touchdown, Florida State.
Davidson, the guard, in motion. Now watch Crum fly to the ball, Clark fly to the ball. They get right there. The question is, from that angle, did the ball get over? It's not over when he comes down.
Richie Andrews knocks it through for the 21st point for Florida State. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left in the third period. Noles increase their lead to 11. Ball Saturday, Miami versus Florida State is brought to you by Volvo, the car that's famous for its safety, durability, and longevity. By Federal Express, the best way to ship it over there. And by Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. Mobil 1, isn't your car worth the extra protection? There's a look at part of this record crowd, and you judge for yourself. 21-10, Florida State is on top. And after the kickoff, we'll come back and show you a couple of different angles of the run just a moment ago. Mason kicks it off. This will come down to Hill. Tries to get outside on the right. At the 25, and will be shoved out of bounds across the way.
Peter Tom, and now we're going to take a look at Apley and see if the ball is what has to be over. And there's Clark, hits him. There's the line right. Well, I'll tell you.
From there.
I can't tell. Can you tell? We'll look from back left here. Apley again. Definitely not there. Hard to tell.
So there's a timeout on the field. Florida State has pushed it on top by 11. Franklin and Kevin Kiley back in Tallahassee, Florida. Bill Campbell Stadium, and it is shaken again. Toretta sets the screen to Conley. Looks for a block, and Odell Hagan, along with Kelvin Schmidt, make a sandwich of the Miami running back. And that's going to be a loss of 3. This is the drive. 99 yards. It all started with a 51-yard completion to Lewis. Lee in the 1-yard run used up just over 5:34. This was the reaction to the Florida State bench. Toretta gets it away, tip, and did Butler get it? Incomplete. Leroy Butler, number 6, trying to come up with his second interception.
Carruthers again on Wesley Carroll, number 45, and boy, has he played a great game. Watch number 45. They come with the blitz, no backs in the backfield, forcing Toretta to throw in tight coverage by 45 right there on Wesley Carroll, and then almost the interception.
He throws incomplete.
It was the Miami defensive line that we thought would overpower. It hasn't been. It's been the Florida State defensive line causing problems for Toretta, the quarterback.
Tim Palau. If you look at Terrell Buckley, he is the lone safety back at the 42-yard line. Great coverage kick. Buckley goes down at the 42-yard line. That thing was in the air close to 5 seconds. So we're going to go away for a moment. 1:17 left in the third.
Because Miami, Florida State, and even Florida, they're not that far apart. So when you play those games, it's like you take everything on the field and you leave it on the field. You don't bring anything back in the locker room. That's a serious game.
Yeah, it is a serious game. That youngster, one of a record crowd here tonight, on hand to see the Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes. Dexter Carter breaks it open at the 50. Gets a stiff arm out of bounds and then is hit out of bounds and add 15 onto the play. It was a Hurley Brown, I think, that continued out of bounds, and you see Charles Farms, number 2, they're walking along saying, don't give them 15 more. They just picked up 15 in the run.
Tony Yeoman's number 70 on Russell Maryland just pins him right to the ground here, and Carter goes off of that block. Let's see what happens at the end of the play. Smith. And then that shot late.
Third quarter defense by Miami. 1 yard allowed rushing all season, and tonight 70 yards by Florida State. The penalty pushes it down to the 26-yard line. That's 11 penalties against the Canes for 103 yards. Bennett, left side, and this time, check it, it was Paul Moore. 32 rather than 22. Let's go down to Chris Fowler for this update.
Okay, Ron, the last 16 minutes of this game important for Gino Toretta, not just because he wants to win it, because he wants to keep his job. Craig Erickson has started throwing, even though his hand is very swollen. He may be ready to play next week against East Carolina, certainly in a couple weeks against Pittsburgh. And Dennis Erickson told me this week his starting quarterback will depend on how Toretta performs tonight against all this Seminole pressure. So far, fellas, 4 interceptions.
Thanks, Chris. 2nd down and 7. Dexter Carter behind the block of Moore will go inside the 25. Ball was fumbled, but the play was over. Well, there's still a lot of healing that has to be done if Erickson is going to be ready to play, because you could see that shot early on in the ballgame and how swollen that finger still is. Yeah. He's got a couple of pins in there.
Well, I think, too, when he comes back, I think this man has if in fact, at the end of the, we're coming to the end of the third quarter, if in fact they do lose this game for Dennis Erickson, this is really the first test he's had as the coach of Miami. And if they lose this game, he's going to be under some pressure to win some of these remaining games.
15 minutes left in this one, and I have a feeling it's a long way from being over. Maryland looks back across the line of scrimmage. He knows what the job is right here. Florida State driving, but inside the 20-yard line, Kirk is real expensive against Miami. Blitz up the middle and going for absolutely nothing on the running play. Paul Moore will be shoved back to the 30-yard line. And Maryland, the man we were just talking about, is the one who headed the brigade on the tackle. Storyline of this one right now is Florida State is going to go for the field goal attempt. On their last 7 possessions, 5 turnovers by Miami. FSU 14 points off the turnovers. And rushing yardage, well, we showed you what they had done in the third period, 136 on the night. Andrews, a 42-yard attempt. It is good. Richie Andrews nails it from 42. Youngster couldn't play last week because of a bruised hip against Auburn. Here he is again, the left footer, and he nails it just inside the right upright. You can see the body English by Dawson.
This is a team early in the year that lost their first 2 games. Problems with the defense, problems with the kicking game. They got them fixed. I remember us talking before those games, and we were talking, and I said, you know, great programs, they find a way to fix things and they come back. That Penn State team that lost to Alabama, they lost to Virginia, and they put their team back together. Florida State, a remarkable job, now up by 2 touchdowns tonight against Miami.
One of the things that Sonny Lubick said on Thursday when we were down at Miami, that he had to readjust the thinking of the Miami defense, because he said Bobby Bowden does such a great job of passing when you think run and running when you think pass. One knee is down, and Hill, who made the safe catch, will not be able to advance it at the 21. Give you another update of the World Series. Hey, the Giants, some life is left. 8-6 now, top of the 8th inning. Butler and Thompson with RBI singles in the 7th. Florida State trying for an upset over number 2 ranked Miami. Alex Johnson breaks it over the middle, out over the 30 to the 33-yard line. 13 yards in the carry. Bill Reagans, the junior out of Live Oak, Florida, grabs him to the ankles. But Johnson, for a moment, appeared as though he was going to break it for a really big yardage. Beretta, protection breaks down. He's going to scramble. Out to the 45, still going, and is down at the 46 as Howard Dinkins, number 89, puts the stopper on him, and 2 Florida State players ran together. You see Calvin Smith is still down.
Eric Hayes, 78 on Sullivan. What a matchup this has been all night. Sullivan doing a pretty good job, but Hayes collapses him, pushes him back into Torretta, and forces Torretta to come out of the pocket.
Calvin Smith collided with the teammate. The headgears went together.
Well, he's had a rough year, Calvin Smith. Been playing with a sore shoulder the entire year. Has not been 100%. Just now getting back in shape.
There you see him coming together. And you know, through this entire thing, Calvin Smith was the man who was designated to start at the right inside linebacking spot. So enter a sophomore by the name of Kirk Carruthers. Carruthers has been impossible to unseat.
Yeah, Carruthers is a coverage guy primarily, they thought, and he turned out to be the leading tackler. There he is, 45, looks like a defensive back.
Has 2 interceptions tonight and a fumble recovery.
Yeah, and a couple of breakups too. He's just 6'2", 208. But he and Calvin Smith are on the field a great deal together. Look at him, he looks like a defensive back.
Also looks like a kid, which he is. He's only a sophomore. 11:30, college game day. Next Saturday, Bob Carpenter, Bino Cook, and Lee Corso, and then followed by games that'll showcase 3 Heisman candidates. 12:30, Anthony Thompson in Indiana play host to Michigan State. Then at 4 o'clock, West Virginia and Major Harris. They will go to Happy Valley and take on Penn State. Then at 7:30 next Saturday night, Kevin and I will be in Auburn, Alabama. Emmitt Smith and the Florida Gators take on the Auburn Tigers in a big one in the Southeastern Conference race. Florida idle this week. They have a record of 6-1.
That will be a battle.
Scoring by quarters. Florida State 14-10 in that opening quarter after they made an interception on the first play. And then Dexter Carter went 37 yards for a touchdown on the first offensive play. And the Seminoles with 7 in the third and 3 in the fourth. And that's how we stand right now, 24-10. Calvin Smith receiving a standing ovation from this partisan house at Doak Campbell Stadium. Having to be carried off the field. Arkansas has come from behind to defeat Houston. The Razorbacks scoring 45 points. Arizona over Pacific. Louisiana Tech leading Tulsa. Torretta far sideline, and it is caught. Carroll sliding down at the 40-yard line, and that'll be good for the Miami first down. Leroy Butler trying to cover on the play. That's a great job of concentration by Carroll. Leads the team in catches, yards, touchdowns, and in punt returns. Carroll tonight, 8 receptions, 96 yards. Toretta with nobody behind him. Sets to throw, but he just throws it away. Down at the 10-yard line. And let's go to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Okay, Ron, Calvin Smith is right here behind me. He's injured both of his shoulders. You see the trainers reading it very carefully. They've just now taken off his helmet, have not removed his shoulder pads, but he's clearly in a lot of pain here. It's both shoulders, not just one, fellas.
Thanks, Chris. Keeping us on top of what is going on down there. We mentioned that Calvin Smith missed a lot of playing time early on because of an injury to one shoulder, and now it's both. Pressure up the middle. Toretta gets it away, incomplete. Talk about throwing under duress. Bryce Allen applying pressure. It will be third down. Hill comes into the lineup. And also Dale Dawkins, the senior out of Vero Beach. For Miami to keep it alive, and I would think that even for Carlos Huerta, that they are well out of field goal range if they do not pick up yardage here. They need just inside the 30. The numbers on Toretta tonight. Incomplete. Dawkins. And the cover by Terrell Buckley.
The difference in the Florida State defense in the second half has been tighter coverage. They just simply moved their coverage up. All these passes were open in the first half, but look, here's Carruthers going by in somebody's pocket, and look at Buckley. Just all over Dawkins, and if that's been the way for Florida State, they just tightened up the coverage. Carruthers on his man, Buckley right there, no place to throw it.
The ball back to kick, and Florida State does not have a deep man. 3 punts for 38 yards for him tonight. Miami can down it if they get the good bounce, and they do not. 39 yards in the kick. The Seminoles will take it over at their own 20-yard line. 12 minutes, 49 seconds left in this one.
When the Bass Angler Sportsman Society went fishing for an official truck, they reeled in a Chevy Astro. Rumor has it they were hooked on our superior towing power. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
If you choose to finance or lease your new GM vehicle someplace other than GMAC, you might find yourself waiting in line instead of out hugging one. GMAC. Nobody wants to get you into your new GM car or truck faster. Build and shape our future, we invite you to learn the technology of tomorrow while you serve your country in the Navy of today.
Here's another Chevy that really hauls on the track. Chevy Truck, the official truck of NASCAR. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
ESPN's College Football Saturday, Miami versus Florida State, is brought to you by today's truck, Chevrolet. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America. By the U.S. Navy. You are tomorrow. You are the Navy. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Well, it's been 5 years since the Florida State students have had an opportunity to really cheer, but they still have 12 minutes, 49 seconds to get off the clock to stop the string by the King. Dexter Carter spinning up the middle, out of the 25 to the 26. Jimmy Jones has come in at right defensive tackle. Injured a knee against Missouri. The senior out of Okeechobee comes up to make the stop.
They have murdered the middle of that Miami defense in the second half. Out of 11 first downs they have run, Florida State has on 10 of them. One pass. They've made it work.
Carter, no place to go, and he is knifed down. His 94, Greg Mark, got a hand on his ankle. But in fact, Mark is shaken up on the play and is limping off the field toward the far side.
He's a pretty good player there, and haven't heard much from him. It just shows you they've really attacked the middle. They've let the defensive ends run upfield and attack the middle of that defense and made it work. Florida State took the defensive ends right out of the game. Not for Miami to blitz in.
Carter, they fake the reverse, turns it upfield. Big opening cut and knocked out at the 41-yard line. Maurice Crum got him. 17 yards, and I can tell you, against almost any other ball club in this country, that goes for a touch.
Got the great athletes in the secondary. Watch the linebackers, top of your screen. They're all going this way. The fake doesn't get Clark. He just can't get there. Carter cuts it back. And the secondary, you know what they told us? They told you can fool the front seven of Miami, but you can't fool the secondary. They sit and they wait, and that's what happened there. The secondary saved it.
Dexter Carter. 10 yards, and will go down after a gain of 13. Kenny Berry from the secondary comes up to make the tackle.
Brilliant job by the offensive line of Florida State all night. Miami has been creating holes. Florida State helping them. They come upfield. You can see Maryland on the ground again. A good block. Newbill out of the play. Blocking downfield by Anthony and a good run by Carter. Because they come upfield, they create space. When you have a back like Carter, he just picks his way through it.
Greg Mark back in the ball game for the Hurricanes. Quick opener, Edgar Bennett down to the 44, and let's go to Bob Carpenter for this update. Bobby?
All right, Ron, Dennis Erickson's former team, the Cougars of Washington State, at Arizona State. Brad Gosson back from his injury, tossing a bullet to Rod Olson, 38 yards. They've added a Steve Broussard run and lead 14-7.
Washington State gets it going again as they go on top of the Sun Devils. You can see our clock about to go under 10 minutes to play. Seminoles leading by 14. Caden's got Miami again, unless the Seminoles move. And now a second flag comes down as Russell Merrill jumped offside and his footing went out from under him. He couldn't get back.
Dead ball foul, offside, on white.
Ball penalties against Miami, and let's go down to Chris Fowler on the sideline.
Okay, Ron, some sad news to report. Kelvin Smith, the fine Florida State linebacker, has a possible cervical fracture of the neck. They're going to take him to the hospital and x-ray. Ron?
Thanks, Chris. On the replay that we showed you, you could see the two headgears come together, and he suffered the brunt of the collision. Ant Lee going to be caught as he tries it right up the middle. Cortez Kennedy.
Ant Lee on the carry.
The key to watch here is on Smith's helmet, number 36, where his head is. If his head is down, there's no way to avoid that. He actually wasn't in bad position. A lot of times if your head is pointed down, that's when you run into trouble. Your body is really what causes it. The weight of your body and your head stopping short can cause a neck problem, but it's too early to speculate, and you don't want to speculate on those types of injuries.
Willis on the fake, keeps it, first down Florida State. What was it I said a moment ago that Sonny Lubick was so worried about? That Florida State throws when you think they're going to run. They run when you think they're going to throw.
Well, this is a play that probably wouldn't work under normal circumstances, but with Miami down, you see Pegues get caught inside. He's the contained guy. And they're just coming now. Here's your defensive line, Maryland, the offensive line. Look at Haynes. I mean, what a great job all night by the Florida State offensive line on what is probably the best defensive line in the country, although Florida State's not far behind, are they?
Nope. Doesn't take long to call that roll. Dexter Carter inside the 30. He is down to the 29, and again, Florida State, we saw that figure back in the first half. Success on first down. And Bobby Bowden made the point. He said, Ron, we don't want to be looking at second down and long situations against Miami. That's exactly what they want us to have to do.
Well, we talked about in the open, the difference in the game would be the penetration of the Miami line versus the offense of Florida State. Whoever won that battle would win the game. And clearly, the Florida State offense and their offensive line have dominated this game. Certainly the second half.
Dexter Carter, no room to run, breaks out of the pile, and will be down to the 25-yard line. A flag is down at the line of scrimmage. Boy, Carter was trapped for absolutely nothing, and he came out with a gain of about 3.
Now, this is the athletic ability of Dexter Carter versus the entire Miami defense. Mark being double-teamed, he keeps it inside. Now, here's where they have Carter. What? No, they don't. He's gone. Cortez Kennedy can't get him. Newbill comes up from the side. Great pursuit by Miami on that play. A lot of athletic ability there to chase them down.
John Brown, the senior out of DeLand, Florida, signaling, yes, we want the penalty.
There's offside on Miami. 5 yards. Repeat second down.
Boy, they've been offside. That defense, very rarely you see a defensive line offside as much as the Miami defensive line.
Offside penalty.
13 penalties for 123 yards against the Hurricanes. Miami rushing defense, #1 in the nation coming into this one. Barely over 45 yards, and tonight they've given up over 200. Well, the 5 goes back. Economou came out of his stance, number 58. Economou is the one that last week we saw limp off the field a couple of times. He's playing with a turf toe on one foot and a sprained ankle on the other. And that time he was trying to get a head start. Arizona still by 14 over Pacific. They're in the second. Louisiana Tech by 3 over Tulsa. That's final. UTEP and San Diego State tied up in a break in the third. Now final, Central Florida over Liberty. That's the first loss. Jerry Falwell's school. First loss for them this year. Sam Rutigliano, the head coach up there. Second down and 5. Draw play. Up the middle goes Bennett. He will be in the vicinity of the 26-yard line.
Edgar Bennett on the carry.
Richard Newbill again.
Newbill makes the stop for Miami.
Also, Russell Maryland gets off the bottom of that stack.
National implications in this game, Ron. Colorado has beaten Oklahoma. Notre Dame has won. It's Notre Dame, Miami, Colorado, Nebraska. Nebraska has won. Coming in, those are the top 4 teams in the nation. If Miami loses this game, Colorado moves up to second, and the Colorado-Nebraska game next week is probably for an Orange Bowl berth. A shot at #1.
And at the top of the eye, Dexter Carter spinning down. That is a first down, Florida State at the 21-yard line. First and 10 at the 21-yard line. Dexter Carter, boy, the week off, but still playing with a very sore shoulder. What an evening he has had.
Dexter Carter is the perfect back for a line that is not a power back, power line. Watch him pick his way. Crum's there to cut him off. He takes the wrong. There's really no block made there. They got Crum. Carter got Crum going the wrong way and then used his own man as a screen.
11th play of the drive. Blitz up the middle. It is Dexter Carter. Twists and turns his way to the 15-yard line.
We talked about Amp Lee last week, and now here's Dexter Carter again. Now watch, this is exactly what I was talking about. Watch Russell Maryland going to create space for Dexter Carter. Gets double teamed, turns his back, picks a side, and Carter is just reading the defense. Which way do they go? Pretty good block in there, too. Again, you're going to see it. Now from behind, Newbill pushed aside. Maryland picks a side, Carter takes the other side. And here comes number 13, loose again in the secondary.
12th play of the drive. And Kevin, Florida State, I believe, has used up 7.5 minutes on this drive. They have just called the timeout with the second down at about 4. So there's a break in the action. 4:59 left in the ball game. The Noles on the verge of the big win. Tom Willis, 4 minutes, 59 seconds left in the clock for his club to run off. 4 years in a row, Miami has won this ball game. In fact, in the 80s, they have won 7 and lost only 2. Bobby Bowden says the guys down at the southern tip of the state have caused him a lot of pain and anguish.
Well, it's brought them some national exposure, too.
3 times in the 80s, 10 and 1. 3 times those losses have been to Miami. Dexter Carter waits for the block, turns it upfield. He'll be shy of the first down by a couple. Curly Brown from his safety position comes over to make the stop. Another stat to keep an eye on. The last time that Miami was held to 10 points or less regular season was in 1984. It was Florida State, 38-3 in Jimmy Johnson's first year with the Hurricanes. Willis pitches back to Carter. Nothing there is going to reverse it. Cuts back. Willis with the block, and he is close to the first down. There are 2 markers down, one at the line of scrimmage and one thrown from the middle of the field. Peter Tom Willis was outside on the right, trying to help out his teammate with the lead block. Greg Mark indicating that this one is going to go against the Seminoles.
There's holding on Florida State. Both flags.
Tight end number 80, Reggie Johnson on Mark.
That's the reason Greg was given the signal. He knew he was being held.
They didn't hold him that much to put him on the ground. That was a pretty good block.
Yeah. But I think what happened is Reggie looked up and saw that he might lose his running back if he didn't do something, so he pressured him onto the turf. So the penalty moves it back to the 24-yard line. But most importantly for Miami, the clock now shows only 4 minutes, 10 seconds to play. And the Seminoles leading by 14. Carter again. Down to the 20. Cortez Kennedy out of Wilson, Arkansas, by way of Northwest Mississippi Junior College, is there to make the stop. And now here comes a play that, for the most part, could seal it away for Florida State. Richie Andrews to attempt the field goal from the 27-yard line. A 37-yard attempt. This would put the Seminoles up by 17. Block. Rolling free into the end zone, and I believe Darrell Williams, number 31, only a freshman, is the man who came through and got a hand on it.
Climbed up the back of his defensive lineman to do it. See 31, center of your screen? Jumping right. Actually, he jumped on the Florida State players.
That's right. But you cannot jump on your own players.
You cannot
Quite
jump.
frankly, I don't know what the book says about jumping on the opposing player.
I believe you can jump on the other player because they're there. I mean, you're just obviously you can because he blocked that. There was no penalty. That's interesting. I've never seen that done before.
I haven't either. So Williams gets the block. 3 minutes, 32 seconds left in the ball game. Gino Torretta, the freshman out of Pinole, California. As Eric Hayes tries to get this crowd going one more time. That drive a minute ago was a 9-minute drive by Florida State. They took it over with 12 minutes and 32 seconds left in the ballgame.
Has this team improved since we saw them lose to Clemson?
Wow.
Boy, they've come a long way.
Toretta with nobody behind him. Gets it over the middle. It is complete to Carroll at the 40-yard line. Dedrick Dodge comes up and knocks him down, and you could hear the groan from the crowd. This is exactly what this Miami offense is designed for. Get it done and get it done in a hurry. Far sideline incomplete again, looking for Wesley Carroll. Kirk Carruthers had the cover on it. Well, immediately following this one, we got 3:16 left. Bob Carpenter standing by. Sports Center, I beg your pardon. John Saunders and Larry Burnett with Sports Center. And Bob Lee will be coming up with a live report from Candlestick Park at the World Series. Short drop. Look in pass incomplete. Alex Johnson, the intended receiver, and Terrell Buckley was coming pell-mell.
They need to go downfield. That's not going to win it for them. Look-ins aren't going to win it. They need to go downfield. They're giving up those patterns.
9-6, top of the ninth. Burns now in the ball game for Oakland. Bedrosian, bedrock for San Francisco. On third down, Toretta, it is overthrown. Dawkins, the intended receiver, and it will be fourth down, Miami.
Secondary for Florida State has done a remarkable job tonight. Great coverage. Dodge, he's laid the wood to a couple of guys. It's been a tremendous defensive effort. Leroy Butler. This is a team that gave up some points, too. I'll tell you, they gave up 30 points to Southern Miss, 34 points to Clemson. They were run over by Clemson, and they have played a remarkable game tonight.
I'll tell you, that's Eric Hayes, who is favoring his left shoulder and looking down the road for Florida State. That would be huge if that young man is injured severely. He's one of the main reasons for the turnaround on this defense. Fourth down, Miami. They need the 50. The crowd will tell you if they get it. McCarvey with the interception. Five of them.
McCorvey didn't even start early in the year.
Holding on Florida State on an eligible pass receiver.
So bring it back. The celebration will have to wait for just a moment, although there are only 2 minutes and 58 seconds left in the ball game. A reprieve for the Canes. Whoa. And you see Coach Erickson trying to get together with his quarterback and also his receiving corps to explain, guys, this is what we've got to get done.
Number 45, Kirk Carruthers, is the man who was guilty of the holding. Right side of your screen, 45. Played some good defense tonight. This is not it. Wesley Carroll was by him. He grabbed number 81, and that was the call.
Pressure on Toretta. He is sacked. Kevin Grant. The third sack of the night by Florida State.
Boy, but what a job by the secondary again. He was waiting for Wesley Carroll to clear, and he could not get away from the man coverage. Not so much Toretta's fault, just a terrific job by the secondary of Florida State.
Timeout called by Miami. And the Noles only 2 minutes and 34 seconds from victory.
It's sizzling hot. It's the best
pizza deal you can cut. A deal that isn't skimpy. This one has real meat to it. 6 meat toppings and a blend of cheeses. Pizza Hut's new Meat Lovers Pizza. Now get one medium for $8.99. Better yet, get a second one for just $4 more. So hurry. It's a limited time offer.
Pizza Hut, making it great.
Hello, I'm Dr. Chambers of the Chambers Hair Institute, where we specialize on hair transplants. Our unique procedures are simple, painless, and totally successful. This patient did not want anyone to know he's having a hair transplant. We accomplish this by shaving a small area on the back of the head, and after the transplant is done, the patient returns to work. When procedures are completed, the patient has an artistic and completely natural hairline. At the Chambers Hair Institute, we don't just promise, we deliver.
Recognize that skyline? There's only one place in the world looks like that. Manhattan. Where the air's clean, the living's easy, and the food's great. Every time I'm in Manhattan, I order my personal favorite, the New York Strip. Delicious. Manhattan's known for its famous restaurants, so be sure to try all 3. Beef, real food, Manhattan, Montana.
Hurricane season is over. We have seen that all over this stadium before the ball game tonight, and in 2 minutes 34 seconds, if Miami can't come up with anything more than they show right now, it will be. Toretta runs up into the pocket and will slide down at the 46. Going to be 6 yards shy of the first down. Terrell Buckley was the closest man to him. The Oakland A's have won the World Series. 9-6, the final tonight they sweep. Toretta, incomplete. Dawkins, the intended receiver, and he was being submarined defensively by Leroy Butler.
Boy, what a throw by Toretta, though. Do you see what this young guy can do? This is a rifle shot. When he lets this thing go, misses slow motion. This was a bullet. Dawkins, I think, could hear Butler coming.
Certainly was distracted. 2:09 to play. It is 4th down, Miami, from the 46-yard line. Toretta has it complete. That's Carroll, gets by the tackler, and will get out of bounds just inside the 35-yard line. Dedrick Dodge finally corralled him.
Okay, Wesley Carroll, they need to get a first down, and they need to get out of bounds. Well, when he catches this ball, watch 81 here. He gets hit by Carruthers, beats him to the outside. Now, he has a first down right here. Gives it up. Carruthers thought he was going out of bounds. He was fake. And then picked up a little more yardage and got out of bounds anyway. Nice play by Wesley Carroll.
1:59 left. Toretta's going to run again. Slides down at the 20-yard line. It'll move the chains. The clock will be stopped momentarily. Far side to Carroll again, and he's double teamed out of bounds. 1:42 left. Don't forget, on SportsCenter, immediately following the ball game, we will have live reports from the Bay Area. The Oakland A's having captured the 1989 World Series, 4 straight over San Francisco. Short drop, look-in pass, caught by Carroll. He is inside the 15 to get a spotting down at the 11-yard line. And now timeout has been called with 1:36 left in the ball game. At the 6-yard line, the Miami Hurricanes
If you're not watching movies on a Mitsubishi big screen television, you're missing the best part of the picture. Mitsubishi big screen TVs. Movies the way they were meant to be seen.
She's all ours.
Going into business, got something new. Gonna paint the town, red, white, and blue. I'm coming through this bar.
Nice place.
How about some customers?
Ladies' night.
Great place, guys. Who did your decorating?
It's 32 degrees, and Jan Trumpeter is learning all about her antifreeze. The hard way.
What is happening to me?
Don't push your luck. Guarantee it with Advanced Formula Prestone.
The product. The proving grounds. The results. STP gas treatment is the edge.
Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley back in Tallahassee, Florida, and the Miami Hurricanes with the first and goal at the 6-yard line. Coretta, near side of the field. It is caught at the 2. That's Hill. Tackled immediately by 26, Errol McCorvey. Clock continues to run. Well, this youngster's having to grow up in a hurry. Running play straight ahead, close to the goal line. No signal as yet. They're going to say down at the 1-foot line as Erickson wants a timeout. And they finally get it with 65 seconds left of the ball game. So let's take a break. 1:05 left. Miami threatening. Florida State by 14, but Miami is only a foot away. There's the situation with timeouts remaining. Both with 1. Coretta with the option play. It's Johnson. Will not get back to the line of scrimmage. And the final timeout has been taken by Miami as Hayes, Higgins, and Henry Ostazuski combine for the stop.
I'm wondering why here. If I'm playing defense, I'm going to cover that guy on a pass. Why not on a run? Look at the whole defense react to that thing. He's the only back in the backfield. You have a foot to go. You need to be able to get a foot if you're going to win a national championship, and that's what Miami was thinking coming into this game.
As Gino Toretta came to the sideline just a moment ago, Coach Erickson was saying, you got to call timeout. And again, the youngster has had so much put on his shoulders in the last 3.5 weeks.
Well, you really need to remember that's right. He came in the middle of a Michigan State game and then played against, well, you know, 2 clubs that probably not the caliber of Florida State. This is his first really big start of his career. He's played pretty well. He's had some, as you would expect, some turnovers, but he'll be a star. He's, the Miami quarterback position, like the USC tailback position, boy, when you get in there, all eyes are on you.
It is 4th down. 4th down conversions tonight. Miami is 3 of 3. Coretta, incomplete. Take another look. Eric Hayes putting pressure.
It's the same thing that happened all night. Look at the coverage. He needed a perfect pass. Butler was there. Great coverage all night by the secondary of Florida State and pressure from the line. Tremendous defensive effort. Dennis Erickson sees the game, and his first loss is Miami as Miami coach.
Peter Tom Willis straight ahead. The turning point of this ball game. Third period. It's 7:54 left. And this leap right there by Shannon Crowell. He did not have control of the football. The score was 14-10. Florida State at the time. Kirk Carruthers came up with the fumble recovery.
And Florida State followed with a 99-yard drive and made it 21-10, and that was the ball game.
One more play. Miami with no timeouts left. Erickson talking with Bobby Bowden, and number 2 Miami has fallen. Kevin,
my thoughts go back to the second week of the season when we had Clemson and Florida State, and a Clemson team pushed the Florida State defense all over the field, literally. And Bobby Bowden and his staff, Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator, Chuck D'Amato, those guys on defense, they put it back together, and tonight their defense dominates.